Heading into the negotiations, the UK had three main goals in mind. First, it was after a veterinary agreement to ease border checks on certain goods moving between the UK and the EU. For a bit of context, since Brexit, the EU has treated agricultural and food exports from Great Britain, things like raw meat and dairy, as if they're coming from any other non-EU country. That means these products now face physical inspections to make sure they meet EU standards. Plus, they need an export health certificate signed off by a vet. And starting from late April 2024, new border checks also came into play for medium and high-risk products like live animals. Now, to be fair, this kind of process is totally normal in global trade between third countries. But because the UK and EU used to trade heavily in agri-food products before Brexit, these new rules have been pretty disruptive. So the UK has been hoping to negotiate an agreement to cut down on these checks, making life a bit easier for British exporters. Second, the UK wanted a deal on mutual recognition of professional qualifications, or MRPQ. In simple terms, this means that if someone is qualified in a certain profession in one area, say the UK, they'd be recognized as qualified in the EU too. So, a chartered accountant, trained in the UK, for instance, could operate in the EU without having to go through a bunch of extra exams or retraining. This could be a big win for the UK economy, especially considering that professional services are one of the country's strongest exports, and the EU is its nearest major market. In fact, the UK is the second largest exporter of services globally, behind only the US. So, opening up smoother access to the EU for British professionals would be a pretty logical step. Third, the UK wanted a new security agreement. At the moment, there's basically no formal structure for the UK and EU to coordinate on foreign policy or security matters. And given the current geopolitical climate, that's kind of a problem. The UK hoped that, as one of Europe's key military powers, it could use the prospect of deeper security cooperation to get more out of the EU on other issues, or at the very least, to broaden the scope of the security talks to include related areas like energy security or AI policy. The idea was to create a more integrated, wide-ranging deal that addressed multiple fronts of UK-EU cooperation.